This week on the Four Rivers Ag Report, what's up with the Farm Bill? I guess there's some kind of election or something going on. And cash rent farmers and landlords, how to get a fair deal no matter what side of the furrow you're on. And we have a baleful story of loss for you. All that and more next on the Four Rivers Ag Report. Welcome to the Four Rivers Ag Report. I'm Fred Peralta. We got a full show for you today, so we'll get right on to it. First up, the Farm Bill. About 3 months ago, the Senate passed their version of the bill. Since then, not a lot of news about it. Since it expires very soon, we thought we'd talk to Adam Nielsen of the Illinois Farm Bureau and find out what he knows.
And with me now is Adam Nielsen. He's the National Legislative Director for the Illinois Farm Bureau. And last time we talked to you, Adam, the Senate had just passed the Farm Bill. And voila, not much has happened since then, has it?
Well, no, actually, some more happened since then. The House Agriculture Committee was able to write a farm bill. They held a number of hearings earlier this year, and they wrote a bill and they marked it up in the lingo of D.C. In a 15-hour session one day, where they dealt with a number of amendments and they voted for it, 35-11. It was a bipartisan vote, and then we thought, okay, we've got momentum going. But as it turned out, the House leadership was not interested in calling a farm bill, and that has become painfully obvious this week here as we are ending this Congress before the election in the last few days, and the farm bill is not going to surface, and it will not go to the floor. So very disappointing. It means that the Farm Bill will expire at the end of this month, and its future will definitely be in doubt.
Trying to figure out why we didn't pass the Farm Bill. What's going to happen when the Farm Bill expires?
Well, not a whole lot, and that's part of the problem is that, it's not like the programs just disappear overnight. A number of the programs, in fact, the vast majority of the spending will continue on. A Farm Bill is 80% nutrition spending for the SNAP program and for school lunches and for women, infants, and children. That constitutes about 80%. That just needs to be an annual appropriation. There's no need for a 5-year reauthorization of nutrition programs. This would have been the opportunity for those who are interested in cutting the nutrition program to do it.
Okay.
So they missed the opportunity here for some budget savings. And then crop insurance, which is a very important program for farmers in Illinois, and especially this year as we've experienced the worst drought in generations, that program will continue too. But what we will not see are the improvements to the program that were incorporated in both the Senate and the House Agriculture Committee versions of the bill. Commodity programs will end. Some conservation programs will end. Some other Farm Bill spending programs, rural development, will end eventually. It won't really become an issue until late this year when milk producers would receive a payment at the end of December. So there's been some discussion about whether to do a piecemeal approach and just assist the milk producers. Our feeling has been, let's not do piecemeal approaches, and let's not do just livestock disaster assistance. Let's do a 5-year farm bill, because the 5-year farm bill will address all of those issues.
And farmers don't like surprises, hence the reason why a 5-year extension of the Farm Bill would have made everybody sleep better at night.
Exactly. It provides certainty, which is a word that you hear a lot these days. We don't have certainty in our economy. That's why the fiscal cliff is now considered the biggest threat to the economic condition in the world.
Yeah. So what happened? Why didn't the House leadership want to bring this bill up?
Well, we got that thing called an election coming up in the first week of November.
I've heard something about that.
And there were a number of people who were elected in 2010 who didn't like any kind of federal spending whatsoever. And so those folks evidently did not want to vote on a bill that was going to reauthorize programs that we've had for decades and that are a significant part of the agricultural economy, which has been doing quite well. Why disrupt something that's going well? But so that's been one. There's one group that is hesitant to move forward. We also heard from Republicans that some Democrats, because of the proposed nutrition cuts, weren't going to vote for it. We found when we were out there last week with a group of farmers from Illinois less evidence of that. I think when push came to shove, they would take their chances that the appropriate amount of nutrition cuts would be made in a conference with the Senate. So our sense was that we would have Democratic votes in Illinois. Illinois is unique because we're used to the Farm Bill, and there are other parts of the nation that this is not part of what they hear about from their constituents on a regular basis.
What I don't understand is there's a vast number of House representatives on the Republican side that come from agricultural areas. Don't they see the benefit of the Farm Bill?
I don't know. I think many of them do. In Illinois, for example, I can't think of anybody from our downstate caucus in the Republican Party who is not with us on this. Maybe one individual who's retiring from Northern Illinois, but the rest have indicated that they have not only supported us, but would have made contacts to their leadership suggesting that they ought to put this bill on the floor. There's only 60 some odd members of the House who have primarily rural districts these days.
Really?
To begin with. So we're already fighting an uphill battle, and that's why the nutrition part of the Farm Bill is significant, not only in its spending, but in who it brings into the Farm Bill debate. Urban and suburban legislators, where the highest concentration of people live, where more than their fair share of the 46 million on food assistance these days live. So they would have an interest in getting a Farm Bill passed. So there's always been a partnership between rural communities, the conservation crowd, because there is a sizable amount of money, as we discussed before, that goes into conservation programs, and of course the nutrition folks.
There's been some talk about the possibility of this being a 3-month extension to get it into the lame duck session. Is that a real possibility? And if it is, what would be the benefit of that?
Well, it's already in. As far as I'm concerned, if they don't do anything, it's already in the lame duck session. I think the chairman of the House Agriculture Committee would like to demonstrate that they've done something on this. And so there is some window dressing attached to that 3-month extension. And so I hear where he's coming from. I don't completely dismiss it, but you don't need to do that. You can simply pick up where you left off without a 3-month extension, which does absolutely nothing.
This is an ongoing puzzle, and let's hope we figure it out sooner than later.
Yes, I agree. We've spent the better part of the last 2 years working on it, and I guess we're going to spend another year working on it.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Fred. Take care of yourself.
Do you think the rain will hurt the rhubarb? More importantly, how about the corn harvest? Monica is here with the answer. Monica?
Thanks, Fred. I'm Monica Becker. Harvest is progressing at a decent rate with over a third of the corn crop in. Statewide, the USDA is reporting corn at 87% mature and 36% harvested, which puts us ahead of both the 2011 harvest and the 5-year average. But when you don't have as much to bring in, maybe it's supposed to go faster. In the East-Southeast District, we are reported at 98% matured and 59% harvested. Soybeans come in statewide at 79% yellowed, 45% dropping leaves, and 3% harvested. In 2011, only 26% of the soybean crops were dropping leaves now, and the 5-year average was 32%. Again, we are a little ahead with 88% yellowed, 60% dropping, and 3% harvested. The various rains that have dotted the area have continued to help with the soil moisture. The USDA is reporting our area at topsoil 10% very short, 35% short, and 55% adequate, and subsoil at 31% very short, 45% short, and 24% adequate. Now, the USDA report on cash rental rates came out last week, and in spite of the year we had, prices continue to rise throughout the Midwest. In our area, the average cash rent rate for the East Southeast District was $193 per acre. The highest average rate in our area was Moultrie County at $256 an acre, Coles and Effingham counties at $244 an acre, and Douglas coming in at $238 an acre. Statewide, the average cash rent rate was $212 per acre, and the county with the highest cash rental average was Sangamon County at $324 an acre. Now, the drought may have withered up our corn, but apparently not our appetite for farm equipment. Third quarter sale announcements for major implement manufacturers were all up. John Deere reported that worldwide sales were up 15% from a year ago. Case and New Holland reported net sales for ag equipment was up 5%, and Caterpillar reported in July that second quarter profits were up 67% over last year. This increase may be temporary because most equipment sold this year was ordered last year. But a marketing manager for Case New Holland says that the high commodity prices and crop insurance should allow many farmers to trade equipment in spite of the drought. And this summer, we may have had the blues, but thanks to the recent rain, we might have a very colorful fall. A Purdue agronomist says that the recent rains came just in time to save the leaves left on the trees, which will turn bright colors when the leaves die in a couple of weeks. Leaf colorization varies by tree species, late summer weather, and how much sunlight a tree receives. So the best weather for a brilliant autumn is bright, sunny days and cooler nights. Fall foliage goes perfectly with collegiate athletics. There's a big contest coming up this weekend, and we're going to be rooting for the Panthers to fish. In the spirit of the successful Carhartt Bassmaster College Series, 8 teams from Illinois colleges will compete Sunday on Lake Shelbyville in a bragging rights event. Among the school's fielding teams will be the University of Illinois, Northern Illinois University, Southern Illinois University at Carbondale, and Eastern Illinois University. So here's to hoping that the Panther anglers get in tuna with the lake, get off their bass and row their boats out, haul in the big prize, and enjoy salmon enchanted evening as state bass champions. That's it for this week. I'm Monica Becker.
Thank you, Monica. Last week we flew the crop report in the missing farmer formation. Due to technical difficulties, we couldn't get to 2 of our guys, Leroy Scott and Tim Lenz. Well, this week we got a hold of Leroy in Cumberland County. Leroy, how you doing?
Oh, we're doing good. Things are moving right along down here in Cumberland County. There are lots of us, a lot of people picking corn. I don't know of anybody cutting beans, but there's a lot of people picking corn.
How is the corn looking? I've heard wild estimates, nothing record-breaking, but a wide range of rates.
It's been all over the board. We've had as low as 20 bushels the acre and as high as 60 bushels the acre. And I'm picking a field right now right across from the orchard here north of Greenup, and it looks like it's going to run 80 or better. So not much to brag about, but when you talk $8 corn, well, at least have something. That's true.
Have you seen any problems with aflatoxin?
Well, me and the combine are black. Other than that, it's gone through at the elevator with no problem. We're selling everything.
Okay.
And that's one of the reasons we're selling, because we don't want it in the bin. Don't want it to grow after we get it in the bin, and so
yeah, get it out of your hands and into somebody else's.
That's true. And you know, we are at historically high prices, so you never know what'll happen when you're at these levels.
Exactly. So you say you haven't started beans yet, have you? How are they looking for you?
Well, the beans they're looking pretty good. I don't know. It's hard to guess on a bean, but we got those rains, and the beans look pretty decent. I don't think we'll start maybe the last of next week. I'd say it'll be the following week before we get into beans to speak of.
The beans are looking pretty good. The corn is just about done, right?
Yeah, we should finish up Friday if something don't happen. A lot of people, I think, in the same boat.
So are you going to go no-till this year? Are you going to till up the land because it was so broken up? Any plans on that?
We use a colder disc, and we'll probably run it over most of our ground again. it's vertical tillage, and we run it over everything, and then in the spring run it one more time and plant behind it. So it makes I don't know. It seems to speed up the drying process. Our soil is tighter than some areas, so we need a little help getting in the field in the spring. And straight no-till works, but it doesn't work as well because of the wetter soil, tighter soils. It makes our ground wetter. By running our colder disc over it, it seems to help a lot.
So, with Isaac and the storms follow, how much rain did you see?
When we got from the first day of August until, I don't know, early September there, we had 11 inches of rain.
So you really got pounded.
We got a lot of rain, and that's the reason we're kind of excited about our beans. Or I should say hopeful about our beans. I don't know how excited you're going to be about 30 bushel beans, Or,
well, this year I think pretty excited.
Yeah, I mean, when we earlier there was thinking 5 or 10, so I guess we ought to feel better about it.
Yeah. So, okay, well, thank you very much, Leroy.
You bet. Thank you, and have a good day.
Monica reported on the USDA's cash rent report, and it's that time of year where folks are trying to figure out what to offer and what to ask to farm. So I called up our friend, U of I ag economist Gary Schnittke, to help us out.
Gary, this is the time of year people start negotiating cash rent prices. For those people who are new to the game, how do you come to a fair evaluation for cash renting, both as a farmer and as a landlord?
Yeah, that's a good question and a hard one. What we suggest you do is sort of look at what returns look like for 2013, which is a year from now, and so you really are trying to assess what yields and prices look like, and then once you've done that, know what the costs are and come up with the fair split between the landlord and the farmer.
How do you do that, Matt? How do you get that magic number?
Well, what we typically do, and we put out budgets for 2013, actually last month, and so we have some estimates of the cost, and then we look at for the price side, look at what futures markets are suggesting right now, and we're using a $6 price for corn and $12.50 for soybeans for 2013 delivery, and then average yields. So that's sort of the ingredients that go into our forecast. This year, we would be looking at actually higher prices for next year than we were a year ago. $6. That's a pretty high expected price for 2013.
So, if the deal is great as a farmer, if we don't have a drought, and everything works great, but it's a way for the landowners to get a guaranteed rate of return without a whole lot of work. What's the difficulty as a farmer to come up with a fair price?
Yeah, and again, what we see from the landlord side is that you set the rent once a year about this time, you get the rent, you're done.
Yeah.
The real difficulty is knowing what returns are going to look like. Mm-hmm. And some years we have, the prices just vary, and obviously yields vary. But since particularly 2006, we've had some years where the corn average price was $3.50, and now we're looking at prices over $8. So $1 if you're grossing, or $1 if you have a 200 bushel yield, it's $200 an acre, and that makes a big difference.
That's a big difference.
All of those numbers.
So has the drought affected how the various members go into the negotiations this year?
It probably takes off some of the last year, or between 2011 and 2012, we saw cash rents increase quite a lot. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't expect 2013 rents to be that much higher than 2012 rents, in part due to the drought. We've seen some farms that are going to face some financial difficulties because of the drought. And those farms are the ones that didn't have crop insurance and might have pre-harvest hedged early. Others are going to do okay. They have crop insurance, and prices have risen quite a lot, so the incomes will be okay for those operators.
Okay, so how does land value prices affect cash rent prices?
Actually, I think the relationship goes the other way. As cash rents or returns to farmland go up, we typically see farmland prices go up. So, as returns to agriculture increase, so do land values, and you can see that a bit in recent years. We've had returns to farming increase since 2006, and land prices have been going higher during that period as well.
So, okay, well, other than talking to your lawyer, you know what you need to know, right?
That's right. Just have fun sitting down and talking it over.
Okay, thanks, Gary.
You're welcome.
With the weather changing, I asked Cameron to bring us up to date with the latest winter weather forecasting technology. He offers us this report in Under the Four Rivers Sky.
We have seen them in magazine racks at bookstores and in the checkout lanes of the grocery store nestled between other popular publications. Of all the magazines or serials offered, the Farmer's Almanac is one of the oldest publications that has lasted as long as our nation has been around. It is the longest living institution that was originally intended for the colonial farmer, but has since gained a bigger audience of many different backgrounds. Although there were many different versions of the Farmer's Almanac that started in the late 1700s, the old Farmer's Almanac published by Yankee Publishing is the oldest continuous version today. Robert B. Thomas published the first issue in 1792. The annual publication continues to offer readers the same information that Thomas established in the original publications, such as weekly weather forecasts, planting tips, astronomical data, and various tidbits of information for every walk of life. The Almanac's most highly interested component among readers is the weather forecast. The Almanac is published in September and highlights the weather forecast for the coming year. How are these forecasts determined? The answer is not an easy one because the secret recipe is locked in a black tin box and has only been seen by a handful of people. It is said that the forecasts are determined about 2 years prior to the publication of the Almanac using solar science, climatology, and meteorology. The editors of the Almanac claim that, on average, their forecasts are 80% accurate. As a geographer and climatologist, I have yet to do a statistical analysis of that claim, but I will say that comparing the forecasts published in the Almanac with what actually occurred on a local scale, they are pretty close in general terms. Instead of predicting daily maximum minimum temperatures, like your local broadcast meteorologist, they forecast the departure from the normal on a month-by-month basis. In each almanac, the editors provide a statistical evaluation of the previous year's prediction based on actual averages. For this region, the Old Farmer's Almanac predicted temperatures to be 0.7 degrees below average, and the actual departure for temperature for December through February was 0.5 degrees below average. That, in my book, is pretty accurate. I don't know how they do it, but it is impressive and interesting. I have often said to my broadcast meteorology students that it is impossible for any one human to predict the weather with 100% accuracy. The simple reason for this is that nature is so complex and involves many different variables, known and unknown. However, we have sophisticated weather tools that allow us to predict the weather with pretty good accuracy. One particular tool used by meteorologists is a series of weather models that are created by sophisticated equations computed by powerful computers. Another method is by using the climatology of a particular region. If we know what happened in the past, we understand better how the atmosphere will act in the near future. Let me get on my soapbox for just a few seconds. The most accurate forecast is what is happening right now. The forecast for tomorrow is just as accurate because it is the extreme near future to right now. Even the forecast 2 days out or even 3 days out is pretty good. It is when we begin looking at 5 days and beyond that things get a little crazy and our confidence wanes. Remember, we are predicting specific numeric values, and that is where we get into trouble. If we are 1 degree off what we said would happen, the town comes after us with pitchforks and rope. Some don't realize that the evolution of the atmosphere is not a constant, that it can flow faster or get choked up by other atmospheric occurrences upstream or downstream. The moral of the story is this: be kind to your meteorologist and be forgiving when things don't pan out exactly how we said they would. After all, we are only human. Whatever method you choose to get your weather forecast from, whether it be the Old Farmer's Almanac or your local broadcast meteorologist, be certain that there will be some truth to that forecast. Given our knowledge of the science, we are pretty good at what we do.
And finally, the higher hay prices we've seen this year due to the drought has created a brand new type of criminal, the hay rustler. In Colorado, Laramie County has issued a warning to rural residents to be on the lookout for hay thieves. Last week, a farmer reported that someone had stolen $5,000 worth of hay from a secluded field. The hay was baled, both in the square, easy-to-lift bales and in the large, round mounds of rebound bales. I guess you could say that someone was taking hay while the sun shines. Well, that's it for this week. Work hard, be safe, and enjoy the beautiful sunsets. I'm Fred Peralta, and thanks for watching the Four Rivers Ag Report.